Assassin's Creed Unity is probably the most polarising game in the entire franchise. At least it was until that one.
Malaka!
Back in 2014, the series saw itself at a crossroads, with an already divided fanbase and a company overseeing it that wished nothing more than to milk it for all its cash, which is why we ended up with the confusingly shallow, broken game we got on release. And despite the patches, as well as people's perspective on the game shifting thanks to the flaws of more recent entries into the series, Unity still has a pretty controversial reputation. It seems you either love AC's jump to the 8th generation of consoles, or you hate it. So today, let's look at both sides of the fence and see what the game does well, what the game does terribly, and what matters more. Starting with one of the things Unity did right, we have stealth, which in spite of its occasional bugginess...
Really? Oh, okay then. Nah, that's realistic, thanks! Oh, we're pushing the stealth in Assassin's Creed Unity. Stealth system is fucking broken!
is to this day one of the most layered and intricate stealth systems we've seen in the franchise. Embracing the series' roots of social stealth, whilst building on the additional tools and weapons introduced in prior games, Unity provides a stealth system that gives the player near total freedom over how they execute the missions, the likes of which we hadn't seen since AC1. You can use smoke bombs, cherry bombs, stun bombs, phantom blades, berserk blades, all utilised to create dynamic stealth experiences, deceiving guards and manipulating the detection system. Or, if you so please, you can go back to basics and be nothing but a single blade in the crowd, shuffling through the dense atmospheric crowds of the world to take your victims out one by one. This stealth system is only boosted by the fantastic design of the black box missions, which although sometimes slightly restrictive, usually provide an experience more akin to a stealthy hitman assassin than say a Viking raider. These black box missions are integrated into the story well, but that brings us to one of the glaring problems with Unity: its narrative. Not only is the story of AC Unity underwhelmingly short, but it also all too often feels like it doesn't understand itself. The many plot points it offers usually understay their welcome, and are done away with over the span of one mission. And the side characters it includes are forgettable at best, aside from Arno, Elise, and perhaps the Marquis de Sade. The story's pacing is all over the place, as the themes the game's trying to convey get muddled and interwoven in a way that removes any decisive narrative message. Although the personal journey of Arno is fairly engaging, it's too often stripped away in place of muddled political conflicts that are placed at thematically inappropriate moments. Most notably at the center point of the game when, spoiler alert, Belek betrays Arno and the Assassins, an event which clearly should have been the final climax of the story.
The first time that the Order has built itself back up from nothing to power. No. Masyaf, Monteriggioni, the American colonies.
It's clear that the writers of Unity had some genuinely interesting questions to ask and points to make. But perhaps because they weren't given enough time, the plot itself remains underbaked and lackluster. Something that most certainly isn't underbaked, however, is the world of Unity, which was a clear priority of the developers back in 2014. After the massive sprawling worlds of AC4 and Rogue, Unity brings the player back to the dense, intricately designed cityscapes of AC1, 2, and Revelations. With the game's one-to-one recreation of Paris and Versailles not only being gorgeous, but being packed with possibilities, both in set content and in free roam. The Paris stories, murder mysteries, Nostradamus enigmas, random events, heists, and co-op missions are enough to keep you playing for hours on end. But on top of that, it's so easy to get lost in the world, practicing parkour lines, exploring the countless interiors, and immersing yourself in the massive Parisian civilians. Say what you will of the parkour itself, but it's hard to deny that it varies the game far more than anything we've seen in the franchise since. Something that we've seen far more of in the franchise since Unity though, and something it's largely responsible for introducing to Assassin's Creed is microtransactions. Although we'd seen microtransactions and DLC in games far before Unity, it wasn't until the 8th generation of consoles where we'd see Ubisoft directly integrate a store into their menus, actively encouraging players constantly to purchase Helix credits to use on the many items in the game. This surge in microtransactions led to the fantastic customization system to become a frustrating grind for in-game currency, with the option of using your real-life cash constantly being shoved down your throat. And although they're not nearly as pervasive in Unity as they were in recent games, it's safe to say that Unity led the charge on the horrendous consumer malpractice we've seen from Ubisoft over the last 8 years. Last but not least, we have what I consider to be the absolute best thing Assassin's Creed Unity brought to the franchise. Something that I felt had been lost since 2007. The true assassin fantasy. Although it's undeniable that AC2, Brotherhood, Revelations 3 and Black Flag all bring some elements of the assassin fantasy into their respective games, not since the first entry in the franchise had that feeling of being part of the Brotherhood, a blade in the crowd, constantly hunted by those in power, working by a devoted creed, quite been as prevalent. The feeling of being isolated in Acre with nothing but a blade and a target is exactly what's presented to Arno in Paris, and it creates a truly unique experience that so flawlessly reconnects me to what I loved about the franchise to begin with. A single hooded warrior leaping over the rooftops of compact, claustrophobic, disease-ridden, dangerous streets, constantly facing opposition and disdain. That is a feeling I think we lost after the beginning of the franchise. And although it's by no means perfect, it definitely makes Unity stand out as a truly faithful Assassin's Creed game. However, none of these perks, improvements and well done aspects will ever make up for Unity's biggest flaw, the thing that will forever hold it back from being recognised as anything more than decent: its playability.
There's a bit of a stress involved, be honest, but I mean, we have such great material, we have such a great game that's coming out, and
I and many others would make the argument that Unity on release day was the most broken game of all time, and although Cyberpunk may have taken that throne, it's safe to say that regardless of patches, Unity will always have basic fundamental functionality issues that go far past bugs. Even if you face little actual bugs, you will always experience the button input delay, the inconsistent mechanics like breakfall, the stuttery animation transitions, and the sometimes unplayable frame rate. Even without the bugs, Unity needed at least another year of polish, and regardless of any patch, the game will forever be stained by its biggest fundamental flaw. So let me know, are there any flaws I missed, any great things I missed? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you hate my guts? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're new here and enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe with post notifications turned on so you don't miss another one like it. Feel free to support me on Patreon using the link down in the description. With all that being said, I've been Joe, aka Founder Scarab, and I will see you in the next one.